Morning, class. Coming up in Working Class Heroes this week, 4 teams joined the fray in round 2 with Hamilton's and Centurion making their debuts in the Celsey Community Cup. Roses United was seeking another Falca scalp on the East Rand. While defending champions Dispatch travel to Oudtshoorn aiming to drive over Bridgeton. The country's premier club rugby competition rolled into Cape Town for the first time in 2014. Stephen Oval, the venue, situated outside the stunning stadium in Greenpoint. The majesty of the mother city was shining down on the tournament as South Africa's oldest club lay in wait for Vang Mulman, who had lost to Rustenburg Impala the previous week. Hamiltons were founded in 1875 and won the club champs in 2009.
The focus on the Community Cup really started last year. We obviously needed to finish as the top open club, and once we had done that and qualified, we started preparation on the 12th of October with a huge off-field focus from a conditioning perspective. And the guys have worked exceptionally hard to ensure that by the time we got here in January to start doing on-field work, the core had been set. And since Jan, we've increased our cardio side of the conditioning, gone into our contact phase and had our pre-season games. So I'm really happy with where the guys are at the moment.
We never underestimate anyone. We'll take it game for game. Expectations going to be a hard game. You don't get into this competition if you don't deserve it. So yeah, we've got high expectations and we're ready for it.
Yeah, we need to keep the ball. That's the most important thing. That's the thing that we didn't do last week or the first half. And as soon as we started to start playing and keep the ball and get phases on, and then we did well, you know. So that's what we're going to try to do.
Following in the footsteps of Carl and Michael du Plessis, Andrew Aiken and Toxin Chops van der Linde, to name but a few, Hammy scored the first try in the 8th minute. Captain J.G. Giliomir being mauled over the line. Shane Wallander added the extra 2 to give his side a 7-6 lead after Andries Bloem had slotted 2 early penalties. Once the home side hit their stride, there was no stopping them. 4 minutes later, Terry Jacobs sprinted upfield from his own 22. He delivered the ball back inside to scrum off Charlie Purden, who handed it to Jean-Ray du Plessis. The outside centre chipped the ball perfectly for his right winger, who finished off what he had started 80 metres back. Wallander converted, then slotted a penalty to cancel out Bloem's efforts for a 17-9 half-time lead. At the start of the second half, the skipper was at it again in identical fashion. Line out, maul, try. The Hamilton's fly half made it 4 out of 4 with his third conversion, as the 15-time Grand Challenge champion started to pull away. Panic seemed to set in for the Miners, and Locke Arnold Kutsia's attempted clearance backfired and found the hands of replacement Peter de Villiers, who didn't need a second invitation to secure Hamilton's bonus point. Sishen then literally handed the home side their 5th try when a quick throw-in was gleefully accepted by Gregory van Jaarsveld, who trotted in behind the posts to sign, seal and deliver the result. Wallander converted the try as well as Ivan Bartel's score, who slid down the left-hand touchline following Neil Claiborne's pinpoint pass in the 69th minute. The Western Province representatives would add a 7th try through Herman Botha to complete a convincing 48-9 victory and kick off their campaign in fine style.
It was a tough game. Their forwards was very good today. I think the structure is very good and they deserve to win. We came out playing and I'm proud of the guys. They still played till the end. So no, I can't. It's Hamilton's was the best team on the day.
I think the boys put in hard yards. First off, we put ourselves under pressure. A little bit of ill discipline. We didn't do that good in our own half, but we straightened it out in the second half and start keeping to our structure. Still a lot of work to be done, and Monday we'll come back and graft on that. But I'm happy with the boys. The forwards did a good job. Back's counter-attack was great. So here and there, a little bit of defense that we've got to work on, but otherwise happy.
Roses United travelled over 60 kilometres from Wellington to catch their flight from Cape Town to OR Tambo International. After flying more than 1,400 kilometres, they boarded their bus for a short trip to Prince George Park, where Boxberg would be hosting their first Community Cup match. The Boerland champions shocked Brakpan last week and were seeking another Falca scalp to entrench themselves at the top of Pool C.
Well, we started off last year, we started with a whole new coaching staff. Both the assistant coach, myself and the manager, and we started the whole new team from scratch. We've done very well last year. We're very lucky to be part of the Community Cup this year, so I think we've done very well as far as that's concerned. I think Boxberg rugby has grown quite a bit over the last year, and especially our under-21s, our second team, our third team, they've done well last year. In the Falca region, we were Club of the Year.
The club rugby, you know, if you go years back in the 80s and so on, club rugby was a stepping stone for people to get into provincial sides. And now with the Varsity Cup and the Community Cup, there's definitely more publicity and more exposure for the guys to step up to the different leagues. We're lucky to be in as a wild card, but we're here to try and prove the point that we deserve to be here.
Before we started with Community Cup, we had a lot of players that we developed around in this area and that. And this year it just went from strength to strength. And for us, we want to make this work for the community. We're playing Roses today. Next Thursday it's Brakpan. It's tough ball. But at the end of the day, this is what it's all about.
Wat ek vir die manne gesê het, dat kom ons speel die wedstryd. Ons maak 'n bietjie oop. Die veld lyk goed. Ek meen ons 'n goeie atmosfeer. Nadat ons gedink het gaan 'n baie nat veld wees, so ons kan die wedstryd baie oopmaak en laat die bal die werk doen.
They beat Brakpan, you know, and Brakpan beat us last year. And Brakpan to us is a very, very good side, quality players. So it's going to be a very tough game. We're going to try and keep it nice and tight. Use the forwards, bash it up with the forwards, through driving balls and so on, to try and counter for their backline.
The Wildcards didn't waste any time as they scored in the first minute. After a half break, Ashwell Adams popped the ball to Etienne Talliard, who sprinted 40 metres. The local side weren't done building their first innings total. A charging Calvin Yankees proved unstoppable, 17-0 after 26 minutes. Roses, however, hit back shortly thereafter in typically dazzling fashion. Their little general Tian Ramat taking matters into his own hands. A quick tap, swerve and pace taking the scrum off to the corner. Ryan Judy's converted 17-7. However, quick hands down the backline found Adams, who in full flight controlled the ball well from a substandard pass. He then spotted a gap and flew through it untouched. Boxberg were heading into halftime with a healthy 15-point lead, but the turning point came in the 39th when Jacques van der Walt and Jean Bested were yellow carded. Ramat was quick to take advantage and released lock Reinhard Elman, who barged over.
Onze oor as jy gefokus op die bal, ons oor is gefokus op hulle. Dis julle oor is gefokus dis die bal dat jy van die bek.
Keep it simple. Laat risiko, moenie oor risiko speel nie. By raktyd, want jy het dit keer self gestaan, maar niemand laat jy word aan counter op.
Playing 15-13, Roses were always going to encounter less resistance, and they ran Boxberg ragged with their third try. Once again, it was Ramat who broke the defence open. Hooker Calvin Fixter would exact the try-scoring pass to Brendan April, who had originally started the movement. Restored to a full team complement, the East Rand club were not going to lie down. Berger, Ashley, Buckler and Adams combined to send Dean Swart over for the bonus point. Buckler converted 29-19. The action was far from over as the Boerlanders also scored their fourth. Ramat to Denver Fortuin, who jinked and jived his way to the line. The Roses' tight forward showed that they could also draw a man and put a teammate into a gap. That's exactly what Keenan Abrams did. Ramat was naturally on the end of that pass. Adrian Jacobs and Fortuin then switched direction back to the number 9, who is certainly making a statement and showcasing his abilities to a wider audience. Julie's conversion and a drop goal from the fullback gave them a 7-point lead. With the match still in the balance, Jacobs somehow wriggled out of a few tackles not far from his own line and then sped upfield. With the whitewash at his mercy, Dean Swart did not give up and miraculously caught the replacement. But his tackle was too high, which resulted in a yellow card and a game-winning penalty try. Judy's conversion gave them a 14-point lead with 8 minutes to play. Roses would end their innings with an unbeaten half-century. Brendan April scoring his second of the afternoon before Wynand Venter went over for a consolation. 50-36 the final score, putting the visitors in pole position for progression.
We always knew it was going to be tough. And we tried for the first half to get enough points on the board in that, because we knew they were going to come at us second half in that. But I mean, 2 yellow cards at the same time, 13 guys. It's difficult enough to play against them with 15 guys, let alone 13 guys.
What a gutsy performance for my guys. We said at the beginning, and we stick to that motto, we believe we can do it. And our guys so determination, we're so committed to the end. The first half it didn't go well, but we believe we go to the close game and we said to our guys, listen, we have to step it up. No matter the circumstances, no matter the toughness, we can do this, and we must believe in each other. If we believe in each other and the discipline is there, the communication is there, then we can do it.
Pool A saw another Kings franchise derby as Gap Management Dispatch travelled for more than 4 hours along the N2 and over the Otanequa Pass to Oudtshoorn, where Bridgeton were hoping to hit back after their week 1 loss to fierce rivals Barbarians. The defending champs, on the other hand, were seeking a second win to take control of the pool, but the SVD champions and a crowd of 3,000 stood in their way. The vociferous fans didn't seem to hamper the visitors, who started their scoring spree in the 11th minute. An 8-man move from the back of a scrum gave Balden McBean a perfect line to cut through. The left winger would repeat his feat from 7 minutes earlier as Dispatch jumped out to a 14-0 lead. Following his 2 conversions, Monty Dumont showed that he still possesses plenty of speed. Virgil Russell released his fly-off and got smoked for his efforts. The former Shark found no resistance down the left-hand touchline and added the extra 2 for good measure. 21-0 inside half an hour. The home side attempted to run the ball inside their own 22, but it backfired. The loose ball was scooped up by Dumont, who fed McBean with an over-the-top pass. The number 11 handed off to Trichard van Tonder, and the Lock secured the bonus point before the break. 4 out of 4 for Monty, 28-0.
Beslissings is teen julle op die veld. Staan julle so julle moet sonder die 16de ou speel.
Billy Muntwoord added his name to the score sheet before Bridgeton finally came to the party. Warren Malchus cleared from the base of a ruck to Jan Simmers, who delivered it back to Algenan Warts. The skipper sliced through to give the faithful something to shout about. That try was only a slight bump in the road for the defending champs, who restored their 35-point advantage when Bobby Dyer added their 6th of the day. McBean would complete his hat-trick in the dying stages, and Captain Elroy Lichman also dotted down, while Dumont converted 7 of the 8 tries and leads the point-scoring charts with 33. 54-7 the final scoreline as Dispatch go marching on while Bridgeton's race could be run.
We said to the guys, we just want 5 points, and and we score 4 tries. That's what we wanted.
Oh, it was a tough one. That's why they are the defending champs, and they played to their strengths. And as we said, I take my hat off to our boys for the great character that they showed in the last few minutes.
Next up, a Pool C clash where BB truck Nudlikers travelled 275 kilometres from Polokwane to Tshwane in Gauteng. Refreshed Centurion were making their first appearance of the season and their first ever in the Celsea Community Cup. With their club situated alongside the Gautrain route, the Blue Bulls representatives were eager to derail the Limpopo team's challenge with a second loss in as many weeks. Early tries have become a feature of the competition, and this encounter was no different, as the home side were on the board in just the 5th minute. Lock Rowan Stroh barging over after his hooker Sylvester Boyson had delivered the final pass. After cutting back into the traffic, left winger Wilmar Keiter was brought down inches short of the line, but 8th man Reinu Kutsia was on hand to complete the movement. With Centurion seemingly in full control, a loose pass from Stanley Tuiname to loosehead Paul Jacobs would be their undoing. Tini Janse van Rensburg was the lucky recipient, and the number 8 fed his fly-off for their opening try. Zander Bielefeld reduced the deficit to 3 points when he slotted a penalty, but Paul Jacobs went over after a precise line-out move. Stephen Moore added the extra 2 points before flanker Iya Jooste was yellow-carded. However, despite the one-man disadvantage, the home side secured their bonus point. Jacques Olivier pounced on a loose ball and chipped over the top for Cornelius Pieterse, who displayed his soccer and handling skills as Centurion went into the break, leading 26-10.
Ons is te ver, ons is te flat.
forwards, as ons 'n pot gejol het, nee, dan bly ons daar staan. Dan speel ons aan en as die bal moet terugkom, dan is ons vlek.
Hulle doen niks fancy nie. Hulle doen niks nuwe moves wat ons nie ken nie. Hulle aanval die defense lyn en pop hulle net vir die volgende ou. En ons defense is hopeloos te plat voel.
If the result wasn't beyond doubt before half-time, it certainly was when number 2 Boyston scored under the posts. Moore converted 36-10 with half an hour remaining. To their credit, Nudlikers had not given up, and good work on the right from captain and outside centre Maynard Smith resulted in scrummy Taiman Jongbloed going over for their second. The visitors then showed what they are capable of when several players displayed superb handling skills. The ball found its way back to Gert van der Merwe for their try after he had initially received it from De Beer. Jacques else juggled, Smith then passed it to Jongbloed who produced super quick hands. The inside centre's try, however, would be all she wrote from the team from the north. The home side went on to receive a further 2 yellow cards, but that would not affect the result, as Keita sprinted in for their 6th touchdown. Twename slotted the conversion and a late penalty to stretch the score to 46-22.
We'll take the 5 points, we'll take the win. Obviously not happy with some of the structures we played, and definitely not happy with our discipline, mainly in the second half. And then, all in all, we'll take the 5 points. Happy with some structures when we scored, but intensity between those phases were not up to standard.
We want to be competitive, and for that we have to win. That's non-negotiable, and we go back. It's our second loss in a row, so we've got a lot of work to do. We've still got a lot, so obviously not happy at all.
Off we go to the Eastern Cape as Kempston Old Selbornians travelled approximately 300 kilometres from East London to Port Elizabeth to kick off their campaign at Spring Rose, who were hosting their first Community Cup game at the new Brighton Oval.
We're pretty happy with our preparations. We've got 2 decent coaches involved, so we're fit, we're ready to go. Some good recruiting of the off-season, as we've lost some players, so I think the boys are ready to go, but it's been a very good off-season. Guys are super fit, guys are amped, and we're in good shape for the season.
Firstly, I'm going to try and rectify what we did wrong last week, because last week we didn't stick to the plan. Now this week we want to rectify every mistake that we did last week to try and make sure that if it works, we keep on. If it doesn't work, we take it out.
The border champions faced a tough task against the Eastern Province Wildcards, who had a game under their belts and a week to work on their shortcomings against Dispatch. The match in Epakeni bucked the trend of early tries, with the first only coming in the 20th minute, following 2 penalties from Tulani Meki and 1 from Craig Shon. Right winger Saviwe Moyake going over after Luvoya Mhlobiso and Pumezo Tom combined. Spring Rose looking good at 11-3. With the crowd and odds stacked against them, Shon spun the ball out to Michael Amoy after a sacked line-out. The left wing scored at the corner flag despite a number of defenders. Meki slotted a 3-pointer, but shortly before the break, a wheeled scrum worked in their favour as 8th man Craig Green popped the ball through his legs to the scrum-off, who sniped over with ease. He converted his own try to take a 1-point lead. Neither team was able to change the scoreline for the first 33 minutes of the second half, and despite MJ Lamarquand's yellow card, it was Old Selbornians who added to their lead. Alistair Keat and Peter Smith came within inches of the try line before fellow forward Duran Alberts finally broke through. A 6-point advantage with 6 to play. The drama was not over as Spring Rose attempted one final assault. Superb interplay between Meki and Mteleleli's stick gave the Flyers space to throw a stunning pass to Moyake, who galloped in for his second. He was unable to run around closer to the poles, which gave Meki a difficult conversion attempt to win the match. Unfortunately for the passionate home supporters, the number 10 was not able to add the extra 2, as Old Boys held on for a nail-biting 2019 victory. That's 2 losses from 2 for the EP club, while the border reps will be mighty relieved with the result.
Firstly, I think a very, very hard game. Came here, we knew what to expect. We saw these guys last week against Dispatch. A little bit from my side, we were a little bit rusty. We haven't played in, I think, 4 weeks or so. I'm glad we got through it. I'm happy to go home with 4 points.
Today we made a lot of mistakes. We didn't stick to our plan. And then we gave away easy 2 tries.
Our club rugby travels take us to Emalahleni, where Shuma Ferros hosted Rustenburg Impala in a battle of the unbeaten sides of Pool D at Puma Stadium. The Northwest club were one of the favourites heading into the tournament, while the men from Witbank were an unknown entity after just 1 match. The Mpumalanga club showed the much-fancied Northwesterners that they would defend their territory, and Jean Botha burst through for the opener in the second minute. Rustenburg were held pointless right up until the 24th minute, but the dam wall eventually broke when Willem Kok first fed Leon du Plessis and then Justin Wheeler, who was not going to be stopped as he hurtled towards the line. Nasu Lafier and Dewald Peters traded penalties before captain Willie van der Merwe received a pop pass from Wayne Dreyer, who sniped around the ruck. The home side leading 17-10 moments before the break. But the Leopards representatives levelled matters in the final movement of the half. Kok snapped up a loose ball and Wheeler was on hand to deliver it to Dumasani Mateshana. The outside centre passed it to Morne Jooste, who still had lots of work to do. Willefeed added a penalty shortly after the break to give his side the lead, which they would never relinquish. It would, however, take until the final quarter of the clash for the visitors to start pulling away. With advantage being played, Kok was quick to seize and he released Earl Lewis, who should have encountered more resistance on his way to the line. The bonus point was in the bag in the 65th when Wheeler scored his second. Impala missed their line-out jumper, but Ferros failed to take advantage, and Du Plessis was rewarded with a well-deserved try. The home side were far better than the 41-17 scoreline suggests, but Rustenburg certainly deserved their 5 points.
17 all at half-time. We weren't happy, and the boys came out, and it was a bit of a dogfight the whole game, but to come out with 5 points again, obviously on a away game, we're happy and we'll take it as that.
From Mpumalanga, we go down to the Free State, where Roodepoort made the trip to the B Field at Griffin Stadium for their Pool B clash with EK Welkom. Despite their first-round victory, the Lions reps were looking for an improved performance, while it could only get better for Welkom, who conceded 85 points in Durban. The early signs were not good for the hosts, when flanker Jean Shaw and then hooker Taste de Villiers touchdown inside 7 minutes. Both were converted by Henny Oosthuizen. An attempted line-out steal from Welkom went forward, and de Villiers made up for his ill-directed throw by making the half-break and laying it off to Nicky Cronje. The Lock would finish it off 21-0. Shaw scored his second and the bonus points in the 33rd as a long day lay ahead for the Northern Free Staters. Just before half-time, Gerard Scholz strolled over from the back of a scrum. Oosthuizen converted his 5th out of 5, 35-0 at the break. Shaw would secure his hat-trick in the 57th. Andre Esterhuizen clearing from a ruck for the number 6 as the West Randers breached the 40 mark. Chanley Williams took over the kicking duties and duly converted. Roodepoort were not about to decrease their intensity, and skipper Scholz flung a no-look pass to right winger Lasejo Malau for the first try from a backline player. The 50 was up shortly thereafter as Junior Gray completed a loose forward hat-trick. Roodepoort scored a further 3 and went to the top of the pool thanks to a 75-0 demolition.
Very happy with the 5 points and also the points difference. There were a couple more tries of begging there. On the negative side, it got a little bit too loose for our likings, and then our structure went out the window. But that's what we came here for, 5 points and a bit of a points difference.
Baie harde werk wat voor ons lê. Ons het weer eens bietjie swaar getrek met niks bal nie. So die volgende 2 weke is net klip harde werk en weer bou van voor af en ja, al die foute van die begin af weer uitsort.
There was also a Free State derby as Eagle Towing Rovers started their Pool B journey against Bloem Crusaders. The Griffins men, however, would go down to the Cheetahs reps, who added a bonus point in their 29-21 victory. While Roses, Centurion, Hamiltons and Rustenburg all passed the 40 mark in big victories. Dispatch lead Pool A by 4 points and seem set to qualify for George once again, while Barbarians and Old Boys have 1 win each. Roodepoort top Pool B by 3 points over Bloem Crusaders, while College Rovers are yet to play their second game. Roses United hold all the aces in Pool C, and Centurion took a full 5 points from their opening encounter. Rustenburg are leading Pool D with a maximum 10 points, while Hamiltons have leaped into second place. On Saturday, Dispatch and Roses United will qualify for the Easter Championships if they make it 3 out of 3, while we see the return of Johnson College Rovers and Mossel Bay Barbarians. Westbank and Hamiltons play their second matches in a Western Cape derby.
Come and support us in Pelican Park. We can do this, and if you believe, we believe we can do this all together. You are on our side. If we are a team, you are also part of this team. So let's believe and let's make this community proud of Wellington and Park.
Don't forget to go down and support your local players at your community rugby club this weekend. That's it for this week's edition of Working Class Heroes. For more information on South Africa's premier club rugby tournament, log on to sarugby.co.za and also follow us on Twitter at SA Club Rugby.
Morning, class.